Welcome back, everyone, to Life Without Limits, where there are no limits to what you can achieve, especially with EFT tapping. I am here with my guest, Lori Lamont, part 2, discussing surrogate tapping, which is so totally cool. Lori, explain to everyone what surrogate tapping is.
So surrogate tapping, I'm assuming that you're familiar with what normal tapping is. So, yeah. So what we do is, say a child is having a problem. You would think about that child, you would tune into that child, and you would hopefully use their words, whatever you know that they're feeling. And I'll give some examples. And you tap on yourself. So, Joan, if you would ask me to surrogately tap for you, I would just tune into you, and you could say, you said, oh, I have a headache, can you surrogately tap for me? I would tune into Joan's headache, and I would actually tap on myself while thinking about Joan. And I know it sounds completely bizarre. And to be honest, I didn't start using it until about 1.5 years, and I've been certified since 2014 because I really didn't understand it, and I didn't think, I didn't really grasp the power behind it. But once I learned, now it's something that I do all the time, especially as a parent.
So do you get, as a parent, do you get you just tell them, I'm going to tap for you, or you don't even tell them or get permission, you just go ahead? I know for adults.
Yes. For adults, you want permission.
For adults, you want permission, right? You can't tap if something's bothering you about your spouse. You can't just tap because they were being you tap your aggravation. You don't tap on them. You tap for yourself.
Exactly. There's some different schools of thought with the whole ethics of tapping. I actually wrote something on it. Everyone has, there's different spectrums. From some people say, well, you wouldn't ask if you could pray for someone, so maybe you could surrogately tap for someone. And then other people say, absolutely not. It's energetic. You're energetically and affecting them. So I think it's important that you do what's right for you. I personally don't tap for other people unless they've asked me to, unless they've given me permission or asked me to. I do, however, tap for my children, and I don't ask for permission with them. But what I have seen, and I'll talk about that, is the only time it's effective is if it's for their highest good. And because I have surrogately tapped for them and it has not been effective. And in that one particular case where it did not work, there was a situation at school, there was something bigger happening. So my child's anxiety that was presenting itself to me, that was tapping on surrogately, it needed to be addressed through the school. It didn't, he kind of needed to be feeling what he was feeling in those, and have it be dealt with in a bigger, so it was not to help him. So I tried it twice and it wasn't helping. I was all right, I guess that's not. And then I gave it a couple days, and sure enough, the right solution came about. So I've since learned that if it if it's not for their best, if it's not to help them, then it's not going to work. Quite frankly.
Right. Can you give us an example of some? Yeah.
So so the first time that I did this, one of my daughters was feeling dizzy, and it had been going on off and on for about a month. And we had been to the doctor, and we had altered her diet and made sure she had enough sleep, and we did all the things that we could think of, but every day it was, I'm dizzy. I'm just dizzy. And that particular day, the nurse had called me and said, she's been to my office 3 times because she's dizzy. I think I'm going to send her home. There's no other reason. I don't really have a reason. She's no fever or anything, but she's clearly not learning, and I think she just needs to go to bed. She said, okay. So I picked her up, and I had that voice that said, why don't you surrogately tap for her? And I really, up until this moment, I kind of thought surrogate tapping was a little bit too out there for me. Like, it just seemed a little bit too strange. And I tried, right? Because at this point, I'm like, I'll try anything. What am I going to do, right? So all I did was I thought about my daughter, And I just tapped, even though I'm dizzy, I'm still a great kid. And even though I'm dizzy, I'm still a great kid. And I'm tapping through, I'm dizzy, I'm dizzy, I'm dizzy. And I think it was here, the word popped into my head, I'm nervous.
Oh.
So I just kept going. I'm nervous, I'm nervous, I'm nervous. And I did one more round. I said, even though I'm nervous, I'm still a great kid. And I just did a round of nervous. And that was it. 2 rounds. What is that, like 4 minutes, 5? Like, it was not a lot of tapping.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, maybe 10 minutes went by, and then I went in and checked on her. And she's putting on her leotard, and she's getting all ready to go out roller skating. I'm like, she does figure roller skating. And I said, what are you doing? And she said, I'm getting ready for skating. And I said, aren't you dizzy? Because she can't go roller skating. She's dizzy. I said, aren't you dizzy? And she said, no. And she just kind of looked at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, a month of my life of her feeling dizzy and trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
And all you did was do surrogate tapping.
2 rounds. 2 rounds of surrogate tapping. And it was dizzy and then nervous. So then I was like, what else could I, where else can I use this? You start getting that thought.
Mm-hmm. So
then it's, I mean, I have all ranges of children. So I have like adult children, teenage children, younger children, kids. So I started using it. One would come home and they're upset about whatever and don't want to talk and storming off into a room. And I just take whatever nugget I can get from them, like, I'm mad about this. And then they, so then I'd go off into my room and I'd just tap and I'd be like, I'm so mad. And I just use their words, whatever they said. That's just how I feel. Just tap and I'm so mad. And think about that child or, young adult and 1-2 rounds. I don't think it's not like a whole session's worth. It's like, I've never done more than I think 4 rounds for surrogate tapping. It's just enough, right? I feel like what we're doing is we're just kind of like pushing it, like just giving that energy a chance to move, just enough to, it's like at that tipping point, I just want to give it a little nudge. I'm not trying to control it. Mm-hmm. I just want to help them process whatever they're feeling.
Yes.
So, and every single time, whatever kid it is, within like 10 minutes, they're back downstairs or I'll go in and check on them and they're completely, like everything has completely washed away. And some of my kids can really hold on to feelings for a long time. I know some kids, it's like, they're switching back and forth, but I do have some kids that they'll hold it for days if they can, that angry. And in fact, I found the more I did it with my children, the faster the results. So there was this one day where one of my kids had stormed off to their room, slammed the door, and I just walked upstairs and I knocked on the door. I said, can I come in? No, get out of here, leave me alone, whatever, doing their thing. And I just stood outside the door and I just tapped in my head, even though I want her to get out of here and leave me alone. I'm still a good kid, and I just tapped. I didn't even make it to my chin, and then I hear, "Are you still out there?" "Yep." "Can you come in now?" "Yep." Come in, snuggle, and so what I've learned is it works really, really well with like tantrums. It works really, really well with when the kids are feeling like, they're just overwhelmed with emotions, and then you go in and then you talk and then they tend to open up. This is what I'm upset about. Okay. And then we can talk about that.
Wow.
And it just sets it. I don't know how to explain it. It opens the door. I think a lot of times the kids physically and figuratively, they shut the door, right?
Yes.
And they don't want you around and they just want to sit there and wallow in whatever they're feeling. And it just opens it a little bit.
Before you tap, you're centered and grounded. So
yes, that's a good point.
Make sure. Yes.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. So it doesn't work if you're feeling like if I there's been times where I'm all fired up and you can't tap for somebody else until you're completely centered and grounded. Otherwise it's futile. It's not good.
I need to throw this in, but if it's a medical condition, make sure they've been to the doctor first to get cleared. And then when the doctor, like in your daughter's case, said, I don't know what's going on, but she's not learning here. So, or that was the school nurse.
Right.
I'm sending her home. So once all medical interventions have been exhausted and nobody can figure it out, definitely, I mean, you can tap surrogate tap while they're at the doctor or while they're going through any medical treatment, but you have to rule that out.
Yes, and we did do that. We had been to the doctor and we had done all sorts of things, but and it would never be appropriate to do it instead of.
No. This is why this is called integrative.
Exactly.
It's not either or. It's included. Yes.
And then I wanted to share this, so I reached out to Autumn Energy Event. They're an energy event that happens here in Massachusetts, and I spoke about surrogate tapping, and the theme for the surrogate tapping, the theme for the whole event was birth and rebirth, and so everybody had to somehow incorporate whatever they were talking about with birth or rebirth. So I had planned on just so what we ended up doing was I had a friend who was pregnant, and she was 20 weeks pregnant, and her water broke, and she had been in bed rest in the hospital. And at that point, and I had spoken to her and asked her for permission. I said, would it be okay with you if I had a group of 100 EFT practitioners surrogately tapping for you? And she was like, yes, please. And so what we did was, and I shared her story about how she's in the hospital, and currently most of the doctors are encouraging her to terminate the pregnancy. They're saying that the baby's not going to survive, and if it does, it will be a very difficult journey. And so it was very emotional. It was very, there was a lot happening for this mom. And so I shared this story with the group. And I had like a big board, and I said, so I want everybody to just kind of take a moment and tune into this mom. What is she feeling? And so they're all throwing what they felt that she was feeling, words at me, and I'm writing them all down. And then we just tapped on those feelings. We tapped on, even though I'm feeling helpless and hopeless and all these feelings that we perceived that she was feeling. And we tapped on those feelings. And we said, and then I said, okay, what does she need? What are the resources we need to give her? And so we tapped on, even though I'm feeling these feelings, we're open, I'm open to healing. I'm open to the perfect and right solution and things like that. And then what we ended up doing was I said, remember in Sleeping Beauty, when the fairies would come and bestow their blessing on the baby in the crib, I said, I want you to all think of yourselves as fairy godmothers and fairy godfathers, and what's the blessing that you want to give to this baby? And her name was Hope. She hadn't been born yet, but we had already known it was Hope. And what better name than to give this baby? And so we just tapped silently, and each person closed their eyes, and they just tuned into the energy of this baby and this mother and this child, and they just kind of like fire hosed whatever their blessing was towards this baby. And it was really remarkable. It was the next day, the perspective from all the doctors had changed. Nothing had really necessarily changed medically at that point, but the doctors had said, because the majority of the doctors were really pushing to terminate and really pushing to just be done. And they had all changed their perspective, and they had become optimistic. And then it's, within another week, it was, well, maybe we can try this. And it just got bad, more and more momentum. And then eventually baby Hope was born. And she just had her year anniversary of when the water broke. So it hasn't been her birthday yet, but I mean, this whole process had started a year ago. And and she's alive.
Wow.
And I mean, she has health complications, but certainly much better than they had originally, estimated.
That is truly an EFT miracle.
Really
For
is.
surrogate tapping, most definitely.
Yes.
Something that I want to tell everyone that's listening and watching out there too. Lori Lamont comes from the highest quality of training. And certainly I've been doing this since 1996, so I'm an original tapper.
Yeah.
When you choose someone to help you tap, you want somebody who's certified. And ladies and gentlemen, here's my bias. There are I know of 3 places where the quality of certification is exceptional. EFT International, where Lori and I are from, the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology, I have dual certification with them too, and anyone trained by Dr. Peter Stapleton in Australia. Okay, so those are the 3 places that you can rest assured that the training is of the highest standard. We have to be mentored. We have to have so many hours of mentorship for EFT International every 2 years. I mean, it's a grueling training. It's not just I went for a weekend and learned how to tap. No. So when you choose a practitioner to help you, Lori is an expert with families. I am an expert with, life. But trichotillomania, dermatillomania, OCD, body-focused repetitive behaviors, in addition to anxiety, panic attacks, and depression. So when you choose someone, make sure that they have the training and the experience to help you. And also, let's just throw in, I'm a licensed professional counselor in Pennsylvania. So there you go. I did want to make mention of that because I am passionate about making sure that people get the highest quality when they look for help. Mm-hmm. Okay, so having said that, and Lori and I meet those qualifications. Okay, so having said that, what we're going to do is go on to part 3, which is getting to the bottom of it. So stay tuned for part 3. And Lori, you are absolutely fascinating. I love, and these are true stories, people. Yep. This isn't anything made up. EFT works with, okay, let me rephrase that. EFT can work if you use it. If you don't use it, it's not going to work.
That's right.
Okay, stay tuned for part 3, and thank you everybody who's watching and listening. Please share all these podcasts with someone you love and rate them in iTunes so other people can hear them too. So stay tuned.